It's review time! Bluecast X10 castable resin. Is it any good? Hey guys, a few months back, Bluecast sent me their CR3A resin to review, and some might say I wasn't very kind. Bluecast's chroma cure colour changing process is chroma crap in my opinion, as there's precious little colour change that I can see. Yes. Well, despite this, Bluecast were very brave, and they sent me a bottle of their X10 to test and review. And as I wanted to be as fair to them as possible, I've been using it for several weeks now. So let's get started. Bluecast retailers do provide a link to useful printing data, but of course not all printers are listed. For this test, I've decided to use an obscure, unknown printer, one you've probably never heard of, the Elegoo Mars. Well, I guess Bluecast haven't heard of it, as they weren't able to provide me with any printing tips, and I wrote to them more than once. Fortunately, I had a whole bottle of resin to sacrifice to copious lost prints, and, well, hang on here, let me have a general gripe. This is aimed at all resin manufacturers, not specifically Bluecast. You guys presumably invest thousands in product development. Surely it's not too much to ask that you all provide good print information, instead of letting your customers figure it out for themselves, wasting our time and our money. Yes, there's new printers coming out all the time, I get that, but can't you at least give information for the popular brands? If I made a resin, I'd want as many people as possible to use it, so I'd list the print settings for every popular printer out there on the market. So please do the same. Anyway, gripe over. After a few disappointing blobs produced through lack of information, I guessed at some settings to produce what must be the best Emerilabs test print I've ever produced. I mean, wow, it was great, and even though my terrible photography doesn't do it justice, trust me, it was a truly excellent print. And that had me expecting great things from X10. Pity that. Anyway, the moment I moved on to doing a project, it all went a bit wrong. Firstly, adhesion. Prints do not like to stick. Even my prime coat approach failed to produce results. Fortunately, Bluecast did provide me with their primer, which is sold separately. And this is an absolute must. Don't buy one without the other, or you'll have no joy at all. Just a few spots are necessary. This is spread around evenly and thinly. I found a metal scraper works best for this. Unlike the CR3A, the X10 doesn't require medium to thick supports, and sure enough, I found thin supports printed well. After copious printer setting experiments, I found generally that the uppermost face printed great, the sides were mediocre, and the underside was rubbish. And after using a complete bottle of X10, I can say that I've not yet managed to rectify this. These are the settings I've used on my Mars, and there's something very important you need to note. It is critical that the lift speed is slow, particularly with the bottom layers. This is essential for this resin, regardless of the printer you use. It's not necessary to cure the resin print to cast it, and in its uncured state, the supports are nice and soft, clipping away easily without tearing. When it comes to sanding, curing is more ideal as it firms up the print. And this resin does produce a very obvious colour change when curing, from blue to white. The side and bottom faces in particular needed cleaning up, and thankfully the prints sand and shape very well. Of course, this wouldn't really be necessary if it printed better in the first place. when I reviewed the CR3A resin, I printed and cast a ring by a French jeweller friend of mine, Alexandre. As a professional, he produces some incredible things, and I'd urge you to visit his websites to see what I mean. Typical to his good nature, Alexandre let me have another ring file to experiment with, as I made a pig's ear of the last one he sent me. Amazing, isn't it? I can't share this print file with you. It's purely for demonstration purposes, and the full rights of this ring lie with Alexandre. And who can blame him? It's a gorgeous design. This is my best print to date using the settings I've already shown you, but the undersides are still a bit of a letdown. I've been using silver a lot lately and, well, I've run out, but I still have a huge ingot of silicon bronze, so I'll have to make do with that. I should have stuck with silver. Looks like I need to experiment some more with the silicon bronze. My casting isn't a patch on the silver jewellery produced by Alexandre, but he is a professional. But again, please don't blame Bluecast X10 for my poor results here, because here's the thing. I really like the way it casts. All castable resins claim to be 100% ash-free, but for me, this is the first that I feel actually is. Using Bluecast, I have produced what to me are my best castings to date, so when it comes to reviewing this product, I'm genuinely torn. It has a hard time adhering to the plate, and the use of a primer is a must. It's lightweight and is happy on thin supports, but I just can't get it to print well on all faces. It's great in part, but in other parts, it's terrible. But for casting, it's the best I've ever used so far. I'd really like to believe that the fault here lies with me, that I haven't nailed down the printer settings properly. But as I've used my last drop of X10, I'll never know. And that's why I'm so annoyed with all resin manufacturers for not giving us this crucial information. It's called research and development, people. Do it and keep your customers happy. I want so much to love this resin because the casting results were great. But if I can't print with it, then what's the point? And if I need specialist printing skills, equipment or experience, then it's not for an amateur like me. I live in the hope that someone out there has had better printing results than I have here, and that they'll share their insight with us all. So for now, my review ends in an open verdict. If I could print perfectly with this resin, I'd happily shout out loudly that it's the best resin I've ever cast with. But for now, buy it at your own risk based on my findings. Maybe you will have better printing luck. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Take care, and thanks for watching.